Stop scrolling for 60 seconds. If you have ever loved a story that broke you open and rebuilt you better, this channel is yours. Subscribe right now. Turn on notifications. Because what is about to happen between these two people is the kind of story that stays in your chest for days. This is love in the underworld. Let's go. She had a plan. 18 months of preparation. Every detail accounted for. Every emotion locked away in a place where it couldn't cost her anything. She was going to walk into Seon-ho Bak's world, find the evidence that destroyed her family, and burn everything he'd built to the ground. She did not plan to look at him once and feel the ground shift. She did not plan for him to look back. The most dangerous operations, her brother used to say, are the ones where you stop remembering why you started. She understood that now. Far too late. Nadia Cole had spent 18 months becoming someone else. Not dramatically, not with disguises or false names. Just quietly, the way water reshapes stone. She had studied Seon-ho Bak's organization the way she once studied financial ledgers. Every layer, every gap, every place where the numbers didn't quite add up to the story being told. She got herself hired as an internal auditor through a legitimate firm contracted to his legitimate businesses. Her credentials were real. Her references were real. Only her reason for being there was not. She moved through his world like she belonged in it, because she had practiced belonging in it for a year and a half before she ever set foot inside it. On her first day, she sat in a glass-walled office on the 42nd floor and methodically began pulling thread after thread from a financial tapestry worth hundreds of millions. She did not expect to be called into his office on day 3. She did not expect him to already know her name. Ms. Cole, Seon-ho said, without looking up from the document in front of him. You flagged an anomaly in the Jeju account within 6 hours of access. Our last 3 auditors missed it for a combined total of 14 months. He looked up then. Why are you really here? Nadia held his gaze and did not blink. To do my job, she said. He studied her for a long, unreadable moment. Then he nodded once and said, Good. She walked out with her pulse hammering and her face completely still. Round 1, a draw. By the end of week 2, Nadia had found 3 things. The first, a series of shell transactions that connected Seon-ho's legitimate real estate arm to a logistics company that had processed the shipment responsible for her brother Darius's death. The second, a memo, internal, encrypted, never meant for outside eyes, that suggested someone in the organization had flagged the deal as high risk before it happened, had recommended it be pulled. The recommendation had been overruled. Not by Seon-ho, by a man named Park Jin-woo, Seon-ho's former second-in-command, deceased 14 months ago under circumstances the official record called an accident. Nadia sat with that information for 3 hours. Her entire plan had been built on one foundation. Seon-ho Bak ordered the deal that killed her brother. She had been certain. She had built 18 months of her life on that certainty. The memo cracked it. Not destroyed it, but cracked it. She closed the file and locked it behind 4 layers of encryption on a drive no one else knew existed. She needed more. She needed to be sure. She needed, and this was the part that frightened her, to get closer. The third thing she found. Seon-ho Bak worked late every night. Alone. And he took his coffee at 10 p.m. in the same chair by the same window, looking at the same city, with the same expression she had seen on exactly one other person in her life. Her brother. After their mother died, grief with nowhere to go, she shut her laptop and told herself it didn't matter. She was already not entirely sure that was true. She brought the coffee herself on a Thursday night. Not a strategy. She would tell herself it was strategy for weeks afterward. But in the moment, walking down that corridor with 2 cups, she knew it wasn't. He was exactly where she'd known he'd be. He didn't look surprised when she came in. He looked like a man who had already calculated 17 possible versions of this moment and was mildly interested in which one was occurring. Auditors don't usually make coffee runs, he said. I was already there, she said. Set his cup down. Move to leave. Sit down, Ms. Cole. She sat. They were quiet for a moment. The city a glittering panorama below them, the kind of view that was supposed to mean something about power. You lost someone, he said. She went very still. Excuse me. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm saying I recognize it. He looked at his coffee. I lost someone too. A long time ago. You carry it differently after, like everything is slightly off-center and only you can tell. Nadia said nothing. Whatever you're looking for in those files, he said quietly. I hope you find something worth the cost of looking." He wasn't threatening her. She was certain of that, and the certainty unnerved her more than a threat would have. She stood, walked to the door. "His name was Darius," she said, without turning around. "He was 23. She left before he could respond. But she heard, quietly, from behind her, the sound of a man setting down his cup very carefully, like something had just landed in the room that he needed to be gentle around. Right now you are standing at the edge of where this story becomes something neither of them can control. What Sean-ho does next, and what Nadia finds in that encrypted file, will rewrite everything. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video, and tell me in the comments, do you trust Sean-ho? Or is Nadia walking straight into the most elegant trap she has ever seen? The answer is coming. Do not look away. She found it on a Sunday, buried under 6 levels of archive, flagged as routine internal correspondence, in a folder that had not been accessed in 3 years. A full investigation, internal, thorough, conducted by Seon-ho himself, into the logistics deal that killed Darius. 47 pages. She read all of them. Park Jin-woo had orchestrated the deal entirely outside Seon-ho's knowledge, had used dormant company infrastructure to move the shipment, had falsified the risk assessment, had, when Seon-ho discovered what had happened, apparently attempted to have the evidence buried. 3 weeks later, Park Jin-woo died in a car accident on a mountain road outside Seoul. The investigation concluded that Seon-ho had not ordered the deal, had not known about it in time to stop it, and had, upon discovery, dismantled the entire logistics operation at considerable financial cost to himself. There was a final note at the end, in what she now recognized as his handwriting. "A young man is dead because someone under my protection chose to act without conscience. That debt does not belong to his family. It belongs to me." Nadia closed the file. She sat in the dark for a long time. 18 months. She had built 18 months of her life on a story that was not entirely true. And somewhere on a 42nd floor, a man was drinking his 10 p.m. coffee alone, carrying a debt he had never been asked to carry, for a death he had not ordered. She pressed her hands flat on the desk, and felt the entire architecture of her plan begin, quietly, to collapse. She requested a meeting. Formal. Scheduled. His assistant looked mildly surprised. Auditors did not typically request direct meetings with the principal, but the appointment appeared on the calendar by end of day. She walked in the next morning with the encrypted drive in her pocket and the 47-page report printed and bound and placed on his desk before she sat down. Seon-ho looked at it. Looked at her. He didn't touch it. "You already know what's in there," she said. "I wrote most of it," he confirmed. "Then you know why I'm here." "I've known why you were here since day 3, he said. "Darius Cole, your brother. The Incheon logistics incident." A pause. "I've been waiting to see what you'd do when you found the full picture." The air in the room changed. "You knew," she said. "This whole time." "Yes." "And you let me stay?" "Yes." She stared at him. "Why?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Because you deserve to find the truth. And because," he stopped. Started again. "Because someone grieving that quietly, working that hard, for that long, deserved to find something at the end of it that wasn't just more pain." Nadia's jaw tightened. She had prepared for a monster. She had not prepared for this. She didn't quit. She didn't leave. She told herself it was because she wasn't finished. That there were still threads to pull. That the full picture wasn't complete. She was lying to herself, and she knew it. What she was really doing was finding reasons to stay in a building where a man she had come to destroy was quietly, methodically, without fanfare, proving to be nothing like the story she had told herself about him. He treated his staff with a precision that bordered on respect. He remembered names. He absorbed information once and never needed it repeated. He made decisions that cost him money in order to protect people 2 rungs below him on an organizational chart that most executives never read past the first page. None of this was in her plan. Her plan had been clean, surgical, entirely predicated on him being exactly who she had decided he was. On a Wednesday evening, she stayed late working through a discrepancy in the northern accounts and looked up at midnight to find him standing in the doorway of the open plan office with 2 cups of coffee. He set one on her desk without a word. She looked at it. "You don't have to keep doing that," she said. "I'm aware," he replied. He sat down at the desk across from her, not crowding her, not performing anything, and opened his own laptop and worked in silence until 2 a.m. When she finally packed up to leave, he said, still without looking up, "He would have been proud of you. For not stopping. For needing the truth to be accurate rather than just convenient." She stopped walking. "Don't," she said quietly. Her voice was steady, but only barely. "Okay," he said simply. She walked to the elevator and stood inside it for 4 floors before she let herself feel the full weight of what was happening to her. She made the call at midnight from her apartment floor. Her contact, a journalist with enough credibility and enough ambition to run the story that would dismantle C&Ho's legitimate business empire, triggering a cascade of regulatory investigations, answered on the second ring. She had everything: the shell connections, the historical risk patterns, the circumstantial architecture of an organization that had operated for years in spaces between legal definitions. She could end him professionally, completely, irreversibly. It would not be justice for Darius, but it would be something. It would be the thing she had told herself for 18 months she needed. Her contact said, "You ready to move?" She opened her mouth and thought about 47 pages written by a man who knew he owed a debt no one was collecting. She thought about coffee at 2 a.m. and a sentence she hadn't let herself finish hearing. "Not yet," she said. "Nadia." I said not yet. She hung up, sat on her floor in the dark, and understood with the terrible clarity of someone who has been honest with themselves for the first time in a long time that the plan had not failed. She had changed, and she did not entirely know what that meant yet. She went back on a Friday morning and asked for an hour. He cleared his calendar without asking why. She told him everything. From Darius. From the night she identified his body. From the 18 months of building the case and building the cover and walking into his world with the specific intention of destroying it. She told him about the journalist. About the call. About the moment she hadn't been able to say yes. She told him because she was done being someone who operated in the dark. He listened without interrupting. Without the careful neutrality of someone managing a situation. Just listened. The way people listen when they understand that the most respectful thing they can offer another person is their full and undivided presence. When she finished, the room was very quiet. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "I don't know," she said. "I came here knowing exactly what I wanted, and now I don't." That's honest. It doesn't feel like enough. "It's more than most people manage," he said. A pause. Darius deserved better than what happened. "There is nothing I can say that changes that. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure the structures that allowed it cannot be used that way again." He looked at her directly. "That is not a negotiation. That is what I owe." Nadia looked at him for a long time. "I came here to break you," she said. "I know. I'm sorry." "Don't be," he said quietly. "You came here for your brother. There is nothing to apologize for in that." She looked away. "Look back. I didn't destroy your empire," she said. "No," he agreed. And something moved in his expression. Careful, deliberate, real. "You did something considerably more difficult." She resigned formally on a Monday. He accepted it without argument. Had her final reports filed, her access closed, her contractual obligations settled. All of it handled with the same quiet precision with which he handled everything. She thought that was the end. It wasn't. On a Tuesday evening, she found an envelope on her building's front desk. No return address. Inside, a single document. A charitable trust, newly established, in the name of Darius Cole, funded with enough capital to run financial literacy programs in 3 cities for the next decade. No letter. No explanation. Just his signature at the bottom. She sat on the steps of her building in the October cold and held that document for a long time. Her phone buzzed once. A message. No greeting. No name. Just 8 words in the particular economy of a man who spent language carefully. He should be remembered for something that grows. Nadia pressed the document against her chest and felt, for the first time since the night she lost Darius, something that was not grief. Not its absence either. Something new. Something that had no name yet but felt, cautiously, like the beginning of one. She typed back 4 words. "Thank you. I know." She waited. His reply came in under a minute. "Coffee. When you're ready." No agenda. She looked at the message for a long time. Then she typed, "Saturday, 10 o'clock." And for the first time in 18 months, Nadia Cole smiled. She came to destroy him. She found something that could not be destroyed. The truth of a man carrying a debt in silence. And the truth of a woman brave enough to change her mind when the evidence demanded it. Darius Cole did not come back. Nothing would give her that. But his name now lived on something that grew. something that taught, something that took the shape of his sister's love and his killer's conscience and turned it into a future neither of them had planned for. She didn't destroy his empire. She destroyed the wall he'd built around the part of him that was still human. And that, quietly, irrevocably, destroyed her certainty that she could ever walk away. If this story cracked something open in you, if Nadia's courage to change her mind felt like something you needed to see today, share this video with someone who needs it. Hit that like button. Subscribe to Love in the Underworld right now because every story on this channel is built to make you feel this deeply and think this hard. Drop a comment below. Who broke first, Nadia or Cianho? And was the plan ever really about the Empire? I read every single comment. The next episode is coming, and I promise it will reach even further into your chest than this one did. Don't miss it.